are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity. Because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
What's up, guys? I hope you are having a glorious day. Today we are blessed with the presence of Ranson Leee himself.
Yay.
Ranson has been on the podcast a few times. He's a close friend of mine. We are celebrating the Norse Compound's 6-year anniversary, so him and his family are visiting down from Asheville. And every time that we do a podcast with you, we always get a lot of messages and stuff saying how beneficial it was, just because of your background and your knowledge and the way that you can break things down for people that's easy to understand. So if you don't know who Ranson is, Ranson, why don't you just talk about yourself for a second?
Well, I'm Ranson Leee. I am a bodybuilder, powerlifter with over a decade of experience in the fitness world. Now, I can't believe it's been that long.
You're old, man.
I am. I'm getting there. I have been competing in bodybuilding since 2011. I took a break in 2017 through 2021 to do powerlifting. Reached a very high level of that. I think I'm still ranked number 6 in the world currently.
Which weight class?
220. And I haven't competed, since early 21, or I haven't competed since, April of 21.
It's been a few years.
Yeah, been a few years and still up there right now.
Yeah. So you started off with bodybuilding
Yeah.
in college. We've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did that for a while. Then you discovered that you're actually pretty damn strong as well. Fell in love with powerlifting.
Yep.
And then switched back to bodybuilding. And now you're working on your pro card.
Yeah. I've got goals to finish accomplishing with that. So we competed in November and December in 2021 for bodybuilding. December did nationals. Took 7th out of 44 guys in my class. So some first call-outs there. And just the feedback from the judges is you just need to be bigger.
So that's what you're working on.
Especially in your back. So grow your back. They're like, conditioning's good. You're coming in nice and lean. You just need to, be a little bit bigger, which they're completely right. I agreed with that. It'd been a few years since I had focused on anything hypertrophy-wise. So I've been taking the past, year and a half to try and add tissue size, and we're still trying to do that right now.
What are you focusing on right now in order to build mass? Because you usually walk around 230, right? Like as long as I've known you, you've been around 230.
Now, and that was like eating a good bit of food, just like naturally being around like 230.
Yeah.
Ish. And right now it's focusing on getting more food in than I've ever eaten before.
How difficult is that? Because I know how you're the same way as me. Whenever it starts getting hot here in North Carolina, our appetites just completely go away. And I haven't seen you in a couple months. Yeah. And then I saw a video of you the other day. And I was like, I texted you. Yeah. I'm like, you look like a fucking brick house.
Oh, the chest training video.
Yeah. You've blown up. So it's getting hotter too. And I know that's difficult for you. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing in order to get in those extra calories? Because you eat pretty clean too.
Yes.
You're not eating like shit like a lot of people will do just to put on some calories.
My diet's slightly unconventional just because of my work schedule and stuff. Working in a manufacturing facility, I don't have the luxury of just being able to eat whatever time of day I want to.
Yeah.
We have a scheduled 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch that we have availability to. Now, ideally what they want you to do is that 15 minutes starts from the time you leave your workstation but to the time you get back.
Yeah.
Not the time you just go to the break room, which, in a 1.3 million square foot facility, it takes 4 minutes to walk to the break room. Mm-hmm. So that 15 minutes, comes down to like 7 minutes, So you really don't have that much time to sit down, eat a meal. Think of if you have to microwave it, heat it up. You don't have time to like.
You're about 30 seconds to eat your meal.
It's stupid. So my coach has helped me out with this a little bit to find some ways to get food in and a bit more unconventional than any other client he has, just because of my restraints. And we've had other restrictions too. You know, last year I had a lot of weird schedules that I worked, you know, working third shift and everything else. But now it's like, so I've had to go to, you know, doing shakes, combining shakes with like eating like Uncrustable sandwiches, doing I'll throw in these really good fig bars that are at Costco. It's like a Fig Newton, but it's actually healthy.
Okay.
I'll throw those in, you know, as well to get extra carbs in. I'm doing a lot of fruit juices, like the naked juices, just because they pack a lot of carbs in a small serving, and it's, you know, it's not any added sugars in it. It's just
sugar from the fruit.
Yeah, natural occurring sugars, which is what you want. And then, you know, the only time I eat something that's like legit sugar is like post workout. I literally have 160 grams worth of Fruity Pebbles post workout,
Which is probably the highlight of your day.
No, I hate it.
Not really.
I absolutely hate it. I don't like it. I do it because it's the easiest way for me to get food down quickly and and digest well. It actually with the pushing more food, I don't like sweets as much.
Really?
Yeah, I would rather eat salty stuff. Like I would rather eat like hibachi, like fried rice for every meal. That'd be amazing right now if I could afford to do that like every day.
Yeah,
that'd be every single meal I would eat.
Yeah,
no joke. But like, dude, 160 grams worth of Fruity Pebbles is a lot. One serving, I think, is either 34 or 43 grams.
And that's probably what, a cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you have one of those massive bowls.
I have a big bowl
filled up.
I have a big bowl. So it's almost all the way to the top of it. So that's like essentially like 4 whole cups at least of Fruity Pebbles.
What are you doing for protein?
So it depends on the meal. So like with that meal, like my post-workout meal, I'm doing all those Fruity Pebbles plus 350 milliliters of pomegranate juice for even more carbs. And I'm just putting like whey protein in with that.
Okay.
Other meals, you know, the normal stuff, you know, chicken, beef, ground turkey. That's kind of the staples.
Are you doing chicken shakes?
I'm about to go back to those a little bit, just because I was doing the Axe and Sledge homemade protein for one of my meals.
Yeah.
And doing an Uncrustable sandwich and a fig bar with that also. But lately that's just been giving me, like, it's been bloating me for some reason.
Yeah.
Didn't have any issues with it before, but just sometimes like the sucralose or whatever additives are in it can end up, you know, causing some digestive issues, and that's not what I need.
Right.
Especially when trying to push food. So I think next week I'm actually going to go back to on that meal too, instead of doing the that protein shake, do a chicken shake instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which, for those of you that are unaware, a chicken shake is exactly what it sounds like. It's chicken.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
It's really not that bad. You bake a chicken, you throw it in a blender.
Yeah. So
do you
like
put rice in yours?
I do. No. Oh God, okay. I couldn't do that. If I did that, I would puke.
That's
so
rough.
The way I do it is I get a crock pot. You can do it in a rice cooker too. Like actually, when I was in Texas, I used my rice cooker as a crock pot, and you know the rice
Did you?
Part. Yeah,
interesting.
You can slow cook in a rice cooker.
Okay,
didn't know if you knew that, but yeah, you can. Most of them have a setting to where you can slow cook in it.
I didn't know that.
So just throw your chicken breasts in there, cover them with water, slow cook them for like 6 hours, and that's it. No salt, nothing else. Just like no seasoning, just that. When you take it out, what I would do is I would do 200 grams worth of chicken. And then I would do about like 11 ounces of coconut water, and then like 8 ounces or so of pineapple juice.
Make sure you have a good blender.
That's the key.
That is like, the most important part.
The finer you can get it like blended up, the better. Like because I've had it to where I've tried using one of those single cup blender parts.
Yeah.
Because I have a Ninja that has both the big blender with all the crazy blades to it, and then a single cup one. I tried it in the single cup one; it doesn't blend it up well enough.
Yeah,
but in the big picture with all the blades to it, it's such a smooth consistency. The key is to leave it on long enough. Like if you actually let it blend for a good like minute and a half, 2 minutes straight.
Let it settle. Press it again.
I don't even have to do that. Just leave it on for like 2 minutes instead of just like blending it for like 30 seconds when you're okay, it's cut up.
Yeah,
no, blend it as long as possible. and then it's good. It's easy to drink that way.
Yeah, the coconut water and the pineapple juice help a ton.
It doesn't taste that bad that way. Plus, you're getting quite a bit of carbs from the pineapple juice.
So you said that the judges were really talking about your back. Like you needed to build up your back.
More size on my back.
Yeah. So what are you doing over the past year or so to do that?
I've kind of changed the way I train. And it's a lot of very slow control movement, trying to actually better use my muscles instead of just moving weight, which I've done more of, especially with back training. And to try and change from that, it's a little hard, just because you're not using as crazy as impressive load, but I've actually gotten pretty damn strong doing this. So on a machine like hammer strength row machine, for example, now I'm up to where I'm doing 5 plates a side, but it's a slow controlled negative to where it's 5 second negative.
That's what people don't understand is that negative part.
Oh, it's
the
brutal.
Contraction and everything
so
else.
Hard.
Yeah.
It can be so hard. Because when I started doing this with back, I was using very lightweight with doing it, and I'm a pretty freaking strong guy. But I've been doing this with pretty much every muscle group now for the most part.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of growth from it.
What are your counts on that? Is it usually a 4 or 6 count, or
I try and go I try and go a 5 second count. So it's probably in reality 3 full seconds, but I try to do count to 5 in my head.
Right. And what he means by that is on the hammer strength machine.
Yeah. So when you're lowering the weight, you're counting as you're going down. You're squeezing the muscle and lowering it slow, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before firing it back up and really contracting that muscle for a good kind of 2 second hold.
Yeah.
And really kind of letting it stretch for a second in the lengthen range and where it's sitting there at the bottom, and then when you're up at the top, contracting that muscle,
squeezing it for a second,
and holding in that range too. Because a lot of people, they'll just pull it and they're not actually squeezing it at the top, and they're not spending time letting it be stretched at the end. And I mean, you can get strong just moving the weight, but to actually optimally build muscle mass, you need to spend quite a bit of time actually squeezing muscle and contracting it and being in that length and range and controlling that negative, controlling the weight. That's the biggest thing, is controlling everything.
That's the hardest part for people to learn. And I mean, it took me years as well. And you're actually the one that kind of pointed that out to me whenever you were helping me with programming, was making sure that I am contracting, squeezing at the top, and then lowering the weight in a very slow controlled movement. And it's so much harder, but and it's also humbling.
That's the big thing to get over at first, is how humbling it is, because you're like, dude, I used to do more weight than this, and it's what the fuck? This is.
You look around the gym and there's someone half your size moving more weight, but at the same time, they're just moving it.
Yeah,
they're not doing it in an effective way.
Yeah, I mean, when I started doing this, last year, take a dumbbell row for example. I could easily dumbbell row a single arm 150s or more if I'm just freaking moving it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to trying to make it as hard on myself as possible. I was doing using 2 dumbbells at a time, just bent over with my head on a bench to support it, so I don't have any kind of upper body movement at all. Cutting that out.
You're
completely.
Not throwing your back around and everything.
Yeah, and I was using 75 and 80 pound dumbbells and struggling.
And you were doing 150.
On a single arm. Now these were 2 arms, so it's a little bit harder to do that, but really controlling it, I was down to 75 pounds,
which is almost joking for you in the past.
Yeah, and now I'm still not up to crazy weight, but right now I think that's my 3rd or 4th movement in my program right now, and I'm using 110s with that.
Yeah.
So it progressed quite a lot doing so,
which means you're getting stronger than you were before.
Definitely getting stronger than I was. There's movements now, I do almost everything slow and controlled now. So when I switch to doing something explosive, just to do it sometimes, it's holy crap. Good example, the adductor machine.
Yeah.
The good girl machine, as a lot of people would call it. One weak area I had on my legs was my adductors, my inner thighs, and I need to build that up. So my coach had me start implementing that, told me to start actually training him. I'd never trained him in my life before. And I was doing 3 or 4 plates and struggling on the machine. Now I'm doing, with slow controlled negatives, doing 6 plates with it for 15 reps. If I throw on 8 plates, I can do 15 reps just just repping it out, not trying to like super slow control it, which is crazy. Especially, I never thought I'd be doing that much weight on that machine, especially after tearing my adductor like I did a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad injury.
So my adductors have grown a ton from doing that.
That's amazing. One of the things that I like the most whenever you really start being more conscious in training and getting in tune with your body, which you have to if you are squeezing at the top, lowering the weight in a slower movement and everything, is that it forces you to be present during the exercise. Like you have to put all of your attention into the movement itself, getting in touch with the muscles. And that's really what it boils down to anyways, is the more that you can focus in on that muscle that's being worked, the more benefits you're going to see in the long run.
Oh yeah.
And that carries over to every other aspect of life as well, because then you're more present at home with your family, you're more present at work. And I know in the past with me during training, my entire training session, I would just be thinking about everything else going on nonstop. And then when I was like, hey, no, like I really have to focus in on this, it becomes a habit that you then carry into the rest of your life, which has been amazing for me because your mind is your worst enemy at times.
Yes.
So it kind of allows you. So for those of you that are like, okay, I hate meditating, which I understand meditation can be a pain in the ass, and you're more of just like an aggressive type person where you want to get into the gym, move some weight, you can use lifting as a form of meditation where it forces you to be present, shut off the mind, and really just get in touch with you, your muscles, everything else. And then you're going to get bigger and stronger as a result. We'll call it meathead meditation. That's what we're going to start calling it.
I love that.
I like it. Yeah. Hey guys, if you're anything like me, you're balls to the wall from the time you wake up until you go to bed. And at some point in the day, you're going to start losing energy and motivation. That's why I always take a scoop of focus around noon. It helps me get dialed back in, and it's pretty much coffee on steroids. If you want to grab a container for yourself, go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on focus today. So we talked about the calories. We talked about the biggest thing that has really allowed you to put on more mass, and that's really focusing on the contraction, lowering the weight, slower, everything else. When it comes to working, your new schedule is a little bit better, but all of last year, you were working these really odd shifts and everything else, and that was very difficult for you. How did you work around that, getting your training in, getting your meals in with a fucked up sleep schedule and everything else? Because I know there's a lot of people nowadays that have to deal with that.
Oh, dude, it was insanely difficult to do. Making myself be disciplined was just the biggest thing. And I emphasized the making myself part because it didn't want to.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing for me because, I, from February until, I don't know, June of last year, I was on a second shift schedule. So I'd wake up in the morning, eat a meal, go train, then eat again, go to work, and then I'd eat like usually twice at work and eat a third time when I got home. And I was working a very, very physical labor job during that time too, not eating enough. That's when I dropped a bunch of weight, just not meaning to.
Which was the opposite of what you're wanting to do.
Because the job was so physically demanding. I was getting, sometimes 12,000 steps just at work, not trying to move that much.
You already have a fast metabolism as it is.
Yeah, it was stupid. So I was trying to find ways to, and I've always had an issue eating a lot too. So it's finding foods that digest well for me and planning things better. Like trying to be very regimented about planning times of when I'm eating and be diligent of that. Then once I switched to a third shift job, it got even harder. And it got harder for multiple reasons. For one, it's a third shift job. You have to get used to working from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
When the only thing your body wants to do is sleep.
That first week crushed me. So, and again, it was a job where I didn't have crazy long breaks. So I had to implement doing different shakes and trying to learn that of getting that in. And then I would, I tried multiple different ways of trying to see what worked best as far as my training schedule during that time. I tried training right after I got off of work, like so around like 8 o'clock in the morning. I tried where I was training before I went to work. So I was trying to adjust my sleep schedule then to where, okay, let's see if I go home and go to sleep at like 8 in the morning and then, sleep, try and get like 6 hours of sleep and then go work out and do that stuff. Or does it work better if I go to sleep around like noon or like 1 o'clock and sleep and then go into work and, train. It took a lot of figuring out what works best. And it some weeks I had to literally change that on a daily basis.
You also have a family and stuff.
Well, that's the thing I was
well.
about to say is I had to change it sometimes on a daily basis because I wanted to still try and do things with the kids, but the third shift job made it almost impossible to try and do.
Yeah.
It was extremely difficult, especially the weekends. Because, I mean, there's some people I know that literally will if they have a third shift job, they'll stay up because usually on your Friday, you're technically getting off, early Friday morning, and then that's technically your end of day. So, or is it Thursday? I don't remember exactly how it goes anymore. But anyway, so like your weekends are very strange, and some people try and get back to their family's normal sleep schedule, so they'll stay up almost like 24 hours just to be able to spend time and stuff with their family those days. But with what I was trying to do too, with bodybuilding and stuff and training, trying to stay sleep deprived to be able to do stuff like is counterintuitive too, to my goals. So I missed out on a lot of time with my family during that time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to because I still had to sleep during the day on the weekends. Now there were some weekends where I was like, screw it, I'm still going to try and do stuff. And I mean, there was a market specifically that Jess had in Greenville one weekend where I literally was up 23 hours that day because I wanted to be with the kids and help her and Jacob actually showed up there and like he was like, "You all right, dude?" I'm like, and like I was delirious at that point. And like Jess pretty much like forced me to go home and go to sleep.
Yeah. Which probably made you feel shitty.
It did, but I needed to sleep, and she felt bad that like I wasn't sleeping and was just staying there, trying to be there with her, and she understood I was trying to do stuff like with the kids and everything, and that's really hard. It's hard mentally, not only physically but mentally as well, because my kids are my world.
Yeah,
and I want to be there to do everything with them that I can, because in a few years, man, like the first few years of their life are like the most important to be with them, like instill important things with their life, build those memories with them that give you that good relationship. And that was a good 6 months of like just not having that was hard. So trying to balance everything there was no balance, quite honestly.
You learn very quickly as a parent, especially if you are extremely busy with work and stuff, that the clock is ticking.
Yes.
That, Genevieve is 6. 10 years, she's pretty much going to be gone. Yeah. Like she'll be a teenager at this point, a woman, at least turning into one, and she's going to be living her own life, doing her own thing. So I have maybe at most 10 years.
Yeah.
But then in all reality, it's probably like 5 years because around 10, those, preteen stages and stuff, right?
Harper,
like they don't want as much to do with you. Yeah. They're not the sweet, innocent little girl that they used to be that wants to be around daddy. They want to be with their friends. It's almost an embarrassment probably to be around kids, around their parents and stuff. So, every time that I do have an opportunity to spend with her, I'm like, I have to soak this up as much as possible because I know that clock's ticking and I can't wait to be hanging out with her when she is 30. I think about that too. It's like, like this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice sitting around a fire, having a conversation with my kid as an adult.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, it's more for us than it is for them. Like, us being there for them and stuff is helping with their development. Like you're saying, especially the first 7 years, that is shaping that child into who they're always going to be. But it's very selfish of us as well, as it should be though. And if you are a parent and you are prioritizing work over that, and you need to at times, especially as a man, because you have to provide for your family.
Yeah.
You know what, man? Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that is the one thing that being a man that people don't understand the most is that we are
I've
constantly
struggled
torn.
with this a lot over the past few months.
We are constantly torn with, okay, I need to make money for my family, meaning I need to work. I also need to become the best version of myself, meaning I need to go to the gym. I need to make sure that I'm training, eating right, all that stuff. But I also need to be spending time with my family. We are constantly torn. And this is every man that I know that's not a piece of shit. We're constantly torn by those three things. And
Dude.
I don't think anyone will ever understand the severity of it.
It's so difficult, and I've struggled with this a lot because I work a full-time job that I'm at 8.5 hours a day. If you count in the getting ready for work in the morning and the time it takes to do that, plus driving there, and back home, you're probably looking at 10 total hours of the day that's devoted to that job that I'm not getting to spend with my family and do stuff with. I'm also trying to achieve my goals with bodybuilding, which takes up, at least 2 hours a day of just training. I'm also trying to build my coaching business back up to where I want it to be, to where I can, hopefully be doing just that, which I don't have too much time for because I also, when I'm home, I want to give the time that I'm not home to my children. And I've struggled with that a lot because it's like some areas going to have to give. They're not going to be able to get the attention. Not every area will get the attention I want it to. And at times it's like, okay, well, do I miss out on something with my kids to do some work that, I'll never get that chance to do that with them again, possibly? Or do I do this work now and just miss it? Like it's hard. It's been the most difficult thing the past few months for me to really try and do because I don't want to miss that time with them.
I don't know if it ever gets easier.
I don't think it does.
I think it just continues to get harder.
I think we just find better ways to work around it.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to manage my time a little bit better with it. And actually working the weird shifts kind of helped a little bit with it because I'm trying my best to be as present as possible in the moments that I have.
Yeah.
So this sucks for my business and it sucks for me getting work done sometimes, but I try not to do anything on my computer or phone when they're awake.
That's all you can do, man.
Which is extremely hard because my kids are stubborn and don't want to go to bed till like 10:30 at night.
At the time that you have with them, you have to be present as possible. And that's the number one recommendation I could make to anyone as well is you're not going to have it. You will never, ever have enough time with your family as you want. It's never going to happen.
No, your kids are never going to grow up one day and be like, man, I wish my dad didn't spend so much time with me.
No. And then
but they are, if you don't spend that time with them, they may grow up and go, man, I just wish that
I didn't even know the guy.
I just wish my dad would have spent more time.
When in all reality, he was busting his ass.
Trying to make a good life for him.
Trying to make a good life for him. And that's.
But the only thing your kid wants, and this is something I've realized, and especially realized, over the past year, the only thing your kid wants is your attention. They really don't care about anything else.
No, as long as they have that attention.
They just want your attention. They want their mom and dad's attention. Hey dad, look here. Hey dad, look at this. Like, hey mom, watch me do this. Like, sometimes it gets annoying because they just do it every 5 minutes. But one day they're not going to say that anymore. And one day that's not going to happen. One day they're going to be grown up and you're not going to hear, hey dad, watch me do this.
Yeah.
They're going to remember if you actually are watching. Dude, there's been times at the park where I've gone with Fiona, and I've just gotten a message from Jess. So I'm like, I feel my phone vibrate, so I go to look at it. I'm pushing Fiona on the swing, and like she'll look around and she'll go, "Dad, get off your phone."
How old is Fiona?
She's 3.
Exactly.
And so literally, like, I don't have my phone out or at the park or anything. You just go to the park nowadays, you see parents just sitting down on a bench on their phone, not paying attention to the kids. Dude, like, people look at me and Jess weird because we play with them at the park.
That's one of the things I admire that the most about you when it comes to being a dad is it's very hard for me to tap into that playful side.
Yeah.
And
it's hard for me too.
I watch you though, and I'm like, okay, I almost like try to model you and your playful dad side with Genevieve. It's like, okay, we go to the park. I'll push her on the swing, but it's very hard for me to like kind of tap into that inner child and just have fun. I'm getting better at it, but it's through watching you and stuff like that.
Thanks, man.
And the one thing that I do to try to be present with her is leave my phone somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, if it is like difficult for you to shut off and stuff like that, just leave your phone in the car.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
the one
best
thing.
way.
It really is. And even when you get home, I've had Genevieve hide my phone where she just puts it in a different room. Like, I don't want to know where it's at. Go get it for me before bed. Don't forget it. But like, go let me know where it's at. But that is the thing that is the hardest, is doing that. I heard this quote from this guy named Patrick Bet David the other day.
Dude.
He's amazing, man.
Yeah.
You might have even saw the same thing
I
I'm
may have
talking
not
about.
seen this one, but I've seen some.
So he said
stuff,
he's when it comes to this, balancing work, being a parent, and all this stuff, he seems to have the biggest grip on it out of anyone that I know.
Okay.
I don't know the guy, but the guy that I follow. And he said, if you're going to take time from your kids to work, make sure that you're winning.
That's a good point.
And that stuck with me, man. So now it's like, if I'm not with my family, I better be winning.
Jesus,
it's amazing.
That's the most nail in the head thing I've ever heard.
And for people like me and you, where we are very competitive, we thrive off of taking action and getting shit done and making progress in life. We want to win.
Yeah.
Not necessarily against anyone else, but like, we want to win. Whatever your definition of winning is. And for me, it is making the biggest impact possible in this world and providing my family with everything they could possibly ever need.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can do that is whenever I am working, I am intentional and I'm getting shit done. I'm not on my phone, on Instagram and all this other shit. My phone is on silent and I'm dialed in and I'm getting it done. And if I ever catch myself slipping, I hear that now in my head. I'm asking myself that question, are you winning right now? And I immediately was like, well, I got to get back to work. Like, what are you doing? Get back into work. But I wish more people talked about that, because the older Genevieve gets and the more that I am playing the role of dad in life, the more guilt I have. And I'm better at managing my time between work and family than I ever have been. But for some reason, I have more guilt than I've ever had.
Yeah, that's the thing I've struggled with too. And like, Jess has told me numerous times, like, you just need to, when I talk about like not having the time to like do my coaching stuff like I want to, she's like, well, you just go to like a coffee shop or something and just go do it. I'm like, yeah, but I miss out time with y'all. And I don't want, like, I feel guilty as shit like doing that. It's trying to build my business up. I was like, I don't want to miss the time with them.
Right.
I would rather,
because then you're sitting at the coffee shop and you're like, fuck, I could be with the family right now.
Yeah. Especially like if I'm out somewhere, working on something and like she sends me a picture of them doing something fun. It's like, great.
You love the picture, but
I love the picture, but I wish I was there with you.
Yeah.
And right now I think like I would rather, maybe have the process of building my coaching up a little bit longer, take a little bit longer than take away from those moments as much.
Yeah. And
that's a hard thing to really go for. Like, which one's are you going to let it suffer?
You have to have trust that the work that you're doing right now is going to allow you that freedom in the long run.
Which is where I'm, in the mindset of like, eventually it's going to be the point where I can do my coaching stuff and I have more free time to where I can take part, of stuff more.
It does get to that point too, because as you're building up the business or anything for that matter, you're learning the skills that you need. And in the beginning, it's just constantly experimenting, implementing, and everything else. But eventually you start catching momentum. You understand the game better, the game of business or whatever it is. And you're okay, cool. I know exactly what I need to do. And if I go full in on this for 5 hours a day, I can get more done than most people do in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'll train, and then the rest of the time is with my family. Felicia has this thing, and I hate it and love it at the same time. But she'll ask me about once a week, where we'll be laying in bed about to go to sleep. And she said, tell me 3 things you love about yourself. And I hate that. And she does it because...
Jess, if you're listening, never ask me that question.
Yeah, dude, it's so awkward, man. But at the same time, like, I love that she does it because... it's forcing me into a very uncomfortable situation, because I am someone big on like, you need to love yourself, but saying that shit out loud is difficult. But I was laying in bed and she asked me this question. I sat there for a minute, and usually I don't give her any answers, man. Or I'll say like something silly, right? And I'm laying there, I was like, I love that I put my family first at night. No matter what happens, whenever it's 5, 6 o'clock, I'm at home with the family. Like, I will not and this wasn't intentional. I realized this though. Like, it doesn't matter what I have left. I will stop immediately and I go home to the family. And it was a subconscious thing. And I was like, that's what I love about myself.
Yeah.
But there for the first 4 to 5 years of Norse, that wasn't the case. I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
And it was building the skills, building the knowledge, confidence, and everything else where you put in the work. And that was my main driver as well. I was like, okay, cool. I know that if I bust ass enough and I just keep going, that it will get to the point one day where I can take a step back from this and really devote it to the family.
Yeah.
And you have to have faith in yourself that's going to happen, but you also have to watch out for yourself, because as you catch momentum and you start seeing things grow, you go, how big can I get this?
Yeah.
What else can I do? And especially if you fall into the habit of just constantly going, that is a habit that you form, and that becomes part of your identity over time. So then you start getting, this is what I still suffer with this the most, is the anxiety built around not working. And the way that I combat that now, and Felicia is very well aware of this because we've talked about it, is I have to start stacking victories with work first thing in the morning. That way at night, I feel accomplished. But if I wake up, I have to work every day. Now, there are some people that's like, oh, that's ridiculous. For one, like, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love my job. But it also is the one thing that brings me ultimate fulfillment in life. And it is the one thing that allows me to stack the most victories, which builds confidence, which allows me to be a better parent, a better partner, and everything else. But I have to spend, say, 60 minutes, even on the weekends. I'm like, I have to spend 60 minutes working.
Yeah.
That way, the guilt aspect of not providing or something, or not moving the needle with a business or something, like I can tackle that as like, okay, cool. Like, I got done a good amount of work this morning. I can spend the rest of the day with the family. Like, we're about to go to Sweden and Iceland for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
There's no way that I could have ever done that at any point in my life, walk away from the business, which I'm still going to be working remotely. But I've already talked to her about it. I'm like, I need 90 minutes to 120 minutes, 3 hours, whatever, every day to work in the morning. And if I have that, I will be able to shut off for the rest of the day.
Completely.
But I have to be able to do that. But it's really feeding all these different sides of you.
That's the thing I'm struggling with the most currently, because I want to be able to wake up and be building those victories for my business, but I don't have time to do that first thing in the morning. I have to get ready for my full-time job first thing in the morning. So my building victories for my coaching business starts around like 9:30 at night.
And this is probably the one thing on your mind from the time you wake up until you go to bed.
Yeah, because like I wake up in the morning and like I'm at work wanting to work on my business and wanting to put, do content for it and create stuff for it and push stuff out there. And it sucks. I'm at work. I'm like, God, I can't do the things I want to right now.
Yeah.
And then after work, I go train, and then I come home and I spend time with my family. And so like if I'm working on something for my own business right now, it's like from 9:30 at night till like midnight, like currently. Yeah. And there's been a few nights this week that I'm taking, like even going a little bit later, saying up when I need more sleep, just saying screw it, I'm in a good groove and getting momentum, getting like just knocking stuff out and just keeping going with it. Yeah. And it's helped. I mean, even today, on the drive here, I was working the whole time driving here, and I feel a lot more accomplished today in just that, the hour and a half, 2 hours we were driving here than I have most of the week, because I've actually had that time to just dedicate to it on the drive here.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to, is doing inventory on your time and being like, okay, cool. I'm going to be in a car for 2.5 hours. What can I be doing in those 2.5 hours? Is it working? If I'm driving, am I able to listen to an Audible book? Yeah. Learning more about what I need to do for my business or whatever it is. But we waste so much time without realizing it. And the one thing that has really helped me with this in the past is doing inventory on my time.
Oh, dude. And no matter what it is, whether it's your business, whether it's your time with your kids.
And if it's working out.
Dude, yeah.
People waste 3 hours in the gym. It's like, well, how much time of that were you on your phone?
Yeah. Time your sets.
Right.
Dude, if you ever notice yourself on your phone in the gym, and you're taking your workouts for a long time, do yourself a favor. Go buy a notebook. Write down your notebook or your workout in the notebook before you go into the gym. If you have like a smart watch, with a lot of people do, or like any kind of watch, time your sets in between.
Or you look at the clock on the wall.
Take like 2 minutes, like limit it to 3 minutes most in between your sets. So, and then write down what you're doing in that notebook. Don't leave your phone out of there.
Well, the one thing that people are going to say is, well, I need music. You don't need music to train.
You don't need it. Is it helpful sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, if it's that much of a problem, then go get a fucking iPod.
Yeah, an old school one. You can probably find them for
$5
get an iPod,
now. Some Bluetooth headphones. Guess what? You don't have the phone.
Yeah. It can also become a crutch.
Yes.
Like anything that you become dependent on makes you weak.
Yeah. But in that case, you know, you're in and out of the gym a lot faster and you've been more productive. And this one thing I've been doing a really good job of this year of, you know, even when it comes down to the kids, make sure the time you spend with them is quality time. So if you can't spend a lot of time with them, make sure it's a good time.
Yeah.
Dude, I took back in like February, maybe it was March. I took Fiona one Saturday to go see monster trucks. So, and it was at the Ag Center in Asheville, which that is the smallest little arena, quote unquote, you could ever be in. Like literally, there was 2 little jumps in there, and 4 monster trucks took up almost the whole place because it's so small that them even just going over the little jump, like they almost hit the ceiling. It's the worst place in the world for a monster truck show. And we were there for, you know, maybe an hour, and the whole time I'm like, God, this is crap. And like her expression on her face like was kind of like intrigued about it, kind of not. But dude, for months after that, we were there for an hour. We left like halfway through it because I was like, all right, this is kind of lame. And, you know, I asked her if she wanted to go get ice cream. She said, yeah, cool. But dude, for months after, and she still does it some days today, she'll just be looking at me and she'll just go, hey, Dad, thank you for taking me to see the monster trucks. The first time she did that, like, I didn't realize how huge of an impact small moments like that with her have.
Yeah.
And then 4 weeks ago, we went down to Toronto Equestrian Center because they have like on Friday nights, they have the whole thing they do, and they do like the horse jumping and stuff. They actually have competition there. We went there. Dude, like at least once a day now, she goes, hey, Dad, thank you for taking me to see the horses. That was a little thing we did for like 2 hours that night.
So that's exactly how you balance everything. Is we think that we need to be spending as much time as possible with them, which would be nice.
Yeah.
But obviously, after 30 minutes of talking about it, it's not realistic because you have other responsibilities as a parent, as the man of the house, whatever you want to call it. But the one thing you can do is, okay, cool. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, if that's all you can do, go do something amazing. Just go do something. You may not even think it's
amazing. You may think but to them, it means the world.
You could go on a hike or something of the sort. Like if you and your kids have never been on a hike, you could go take them out there. Just go do something you've never really done. And they're going to love every second of it because you were there with them.
Devoted that time for them.
It's memories, man. And that's the thing. Like when we get older, you're like this. Every single person is probably programmed this way. We don't remember spending every single day with our parent.
No.
But there are certain memories that we most definitely remember. And that's really what matters. So are we creating memories, even if it is only once a month or once every 6 months or whatever? Like, are we creating memories that our kids are going to remember in 30 years? Because that's what we're aiming for anyways. Like, we want our kid to remember us right now, every single day.
Yeah.
But they're not going to. But if you can really take that time, okay, cool, like I'm going to devote this, we're going to do something just really awesome. They're going to remember this for the rest of their life. I'm going to have a good time. They're going to have a good time. I'm going to arrange my entire day where I can shut off and do this for them. That's what they're going to remember. And even if you're not a parent, which there's probably a lot of people listening to this that aren't, you have a partner. It's the exact same thing. Something that we used to do before we were like full in on meal prep and all this shit was weekly date night. I do this with Genevieve as well. A weekly date night where it's like, okay, no matter what, we're going to go do something for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. Like, you don't have to constantly be around your partner, your kids, or whatever it is, but it means the world to them and you if you can just devote 2 to 3 hours a week of just doing something really amazing. And that makes up for all the time where you are working or training and stuff like that. The rest of that time, like we were saying earlier, it's selfish. We want this time with our kids because we're never going to get it back. Our kids, they're not even going to remember it anyways, as long as we were there for the most part.
Yeah.
But what they are going to remember is like, hey, cool, I remember doing all this awesome stuff with my dad or mom or whatever it is. That's really what matters. I think that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. Ranson, where can people find you? You handle our online coaching, which is more of just like different programs for people to follow. If you're looking for a cheap, affordable option for that, go to norsearmy.com. My man Ranson here is the head coach for all that. But if you are looking for a more individualized program, which a lot of people are, and if you're just getting started, I highly recommend that. Where can people find you?
A few different ways you can find me. First of all, Instagram at Ranson Leee. You can also find me on my website, preciselystrength.com. On there, you'll have access to a couple pre-built programs I have of myself on Train Heroic, some basic ones. I've got some more that should be going up in the next like month or so. You'll also on there be able to apply for coaching if that's something you're interested. You know, powerlifting, bodybuilding, general fitness, nutrition. All right on the first page there. There's a spot to be able to apply for coaching if you want to.
And I'll link all that in the show notes. Anyways, Ranson, appreciate you as always. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.